Did you know that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, were essentially a massive collection of raised beds? That's right. Raised beds have been a gardening marvel for thousands of years. And today, we're bringing that ancient wisdom to your backyard. Stick around and I'll show you how to create your own, step by step. So, you're thinking about starting a garden, but you're not sure where to begin? Well, let me tell you, raised beds are a game changer. They offer a whole bunch of advantages over traditional gardening, and trust me, your back will thank you for it. First off, raised beds mean no more struggling with compacted soil. You get to start with a clean slate, creating the perfect, loose, and airy soil mix that your plants will absolutely love. That means healthier roots, stronger growth, and ultimately, a more bountiful harvest. Plus, with raised beds, you're in complete control of your soil quality. You get to choose exactly what goes in, so you can avoid any nasty contaminants or pests that might be lurking in your existing soil. Alright, now that you're convinced about the awesomeness of raised beds, let's find the perfect spot for yours. Choosing the right location is crucial for your garden success, so listen up. The first thing you want to consider is sunlight. Most vegetables and flowering plants thrive in full sun, which means at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. So take a walk around your yard and observe how the sunlight hits different areas throughout the day. You want to find a spot that gets plenty of sun, especially during the midday hours. Next up, drainage. You don't want your raised beds turning into mini ponds every time it rains, so good drainage is key. Avoid areas that tend to collect water or stay soggy after rainfall. If you're unsure, you can always do a simple drainage test. Dig a small hole about 12 inches deep and fill it with water. If the water drains away within a few hours, you're good to go. Lastly, think about accessibility. You'll be spending a lot of time tending to your raised beds, so make sure they're located in a convenient spot that's easy to reach with your gardening tools and watering equipment. Now comes the fun part, designing your raised beds. When it comes to size, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, consider the space you have available. Measure out the area where you want to put your beds and think about how much space you're willing to dedicate to gardening. Remember, you'll need to be able to easily reach the center of the bed for planting, weeding, and harvesting. A good rule of thumb is to keep the width of your beds to no more than 4 feet so you can reach the center comfortably from both sides. As for the length, you can go as long as you like, depending on your space and preference. Now let's talk materials. You've got a variety of options here, each with its pros and cons. Wood is a popular choice because it's readily available, affordable, and relatively easy to work with. Cedar and redwood are naturally rot-resistant, making them great long-term options. You can also use pressure-treated lumber, but make sure it's certified for use with edible plants. Alright, time to gather everything we need to build these raised beds. Now don't worry, you don't need a fancy workshop or anything like that. First things first, you'll need a saw to cut your lumber to size. A circular saw or a jigsaw will work great for this. Next, grab your trusty drill and some screws. We'll be using these to assemble the frame of our raised beds. Make sure you choose screws that are long enough to go through the thickness of your lumber and provide a secure hold. Now, let's talk measuring tools. Accuracy is key here, so grab your tape measure, a level, and a square to make sure everything is straight and true. And of course, we can't forget about safety gear. Always wear safety glasses when operating power tools, and consider using work gloves to protect your hands. With our tools and materials ready to go, let's start building the frame of our raised bed. Now, the exact construction method will vary depending on the size and design of your bed, but the basic principles remain the same. We want to create a sturdy frame that can withstand the weight of the soil and plants. Begin by measuring and marking your lumber according to your desired dimensions. Remember, measure twice, cut once. Once you have all your pieces cut to size, it's time to assemble the frame. The most common method is to create a rectangular frame by attaching the shorter boards to the longer boards at a 90-degree angle. You can use screws to secure the corners, making sure to pre-drill pilot holes to prevent the wood from splitting. If you're using thicker lumber, you may want to consider using metal brackets or corner posts for added stability. As you're assembling the frame, use your level and square to ensure that everything is straight and square. This will not only make your raised bed look better, but also ensure that it's structurally sound. With our frame built, it's time to prepare the ground where our raised bed will sit. Now, you might be tempted to skip this step, but trust me, It's worth taking the time to do it right. A properly prepared base will ensure good drainage and prevent your raised bed from settling unevenly over time. Start by clearing the area of any existing vegetation, rocks, or debris. You can use a shovel or a garden hoe for this. If you're dealing with particularly stubborn weeds, you might want to consider using a sod cutter to remove the top layer of grass and roots. Once the area is clear, it's a good idea to level the ground as much as possible. You can use a rake or a garden leveler for this. If the ground is particularly uneven, you may need to add or remove soil to create a level surface. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, filling our raised bed with soil. This is where the magic really happens, so let's make sure we get it right. Choosing the right soil mix is crucial for the health and productivity of your plants. You want a soil that's loose, well-draining, and rich in nutrients. Now, you could just use regular garden soil from your backyard, but I highly recommend creating a custom soil mix specifically designed for raised beds. This will give your plants the best possible start and ensure they have all the nutrients they need to thrive. A good starting point is a mixture of topsoil, compost, and peat moss. Topsoil provides a good base, compost adds essential nutrients and beneficial microbes, and peat moss helps with moisture retention. You can adjust the ratios of these ingredients depending on your specific needs and the types of plants you're growing. For example, if you're growing vegetables, you might want to add a bit more compost to the mix. With our raised bed filled with a nutrient-rich soil mix, it's time for the most exciting part: planting. Now, the specific plants you choose will depend on your personal preferences, your local climate, and the time of year. But whether you're dreaming of juicy tomatoes, vibrant flowers, or aromatic herbs, there are a few general planting guidelines to keep in mind. First, make sure you select plants that are suitable for growing in raised beds. Some plants, like root vegetables, prefer deeper soil depths, while others, like shallow-rooted herbs, do just fine in shallower beds. Once you've chosen your plants, it's time to get them in the ground. Dig planting holes that are slightly larger than the root balls of your plants, and gently loosen the roots before placing them in the holes. Make sure the crown of the plant, where the roots meet the stem, is level with the soil surface. Backfill the holes with soil, gently firming it around the base of the plants. Water your newly planted treasures thoroughly, making sure the water penetrates deep into the soil. Congratulations, you've successfully built and planted your very own raised bed garden. Now let's talk about some bonus tips to help you keep your plants happy, healthy, and productive for years to come. One of the best things you can do for your raised beds is to add a layer of mulch around your plants. Mulch helps to retain moisture, suppress weeds, and regulate soil temperature. You can use organic mulches like wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves, or inorganic options like gravel. Next up, let's talk about crop rotation. Rotating your crops each season helps to prevent soil-borne diseases and pests from building up in the soil. It also helps to ensure that your plants are getting a variety of nutrients. For example, you could rotate heavy feeders like tomatoes and peppers with lighter feeders like lettuce and spinach. And finally, let's not forget about pest control. While raised beds can help to deter some pests, it's still important to be vigilant and take steps to protect your plants. Inspect your plants regularly for signs of pests or diseases, and take action immediately if you notice anything amiss. You can use a variety of organic pest control methods such as insecticidal soap or neem oil, or you can opt for conventional pesticides if necessary. And there you have it, your very own raised bed, ready to produce fresh veggies, beautiful flowers, or even aromatic herbs. Gardening doesn't have to be complicated, and raised beds are the perfect way to simplify the process while maximizing your results. If this guide helped you, subscribe to Don't Do This Guide. Hit the like button, share your raised bed success stories in the comments, and let's keep this conversation growing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy gardening!